Yes, indeed, the sounds of Fintroll with Mactin Spearer here on Blue Please. This is WoW Radio, and I'm Total Biscuit, and I'm perhaps falling sideways. Anyway, so, what have we got? Well, looks like we had a patch, and that's always a good thing. We'll be discussing a little bit more about the patch later on. It's a very, very large patch. This is going to take multiple shows to cover it in the detail that I'd like to do it. But we have been waiting a long time, and it was a big one. And so far, generally speaking, my impressions have been pretty damn positive about it. Sadly, my raiding guild just fell apart, so I haven't really had a chance to try much of the stuff, but oh well, never mind. It happens. Yeah. So, you may also be aware that recently there was a chat hosted by Stratix with the developers, and we went and covered it, and our coverage is available on wcradio.com if you want to check that out. It's available as an MP3 archive. And I believe my IRC rep should be posting the link to that chat in the WoW Radio channel very, very soon, so I suggest you get there. irc.wowirc.com, it's hash or pound WoW Radio, or go to our website, wcradio.com, click the IRC chat button at the top of the screen. Those listening on the archive, you want to go to stratix.com, click on the World of Warcraft page, and find the Stratix First HOC with Blizzard. I say, it was not so much a round table, it was more of a panel, if anything. They had various people, including Brannock, Tigol, Drisk, Aeonix, and Calgan in there, and they were answering pre-submitted questions about how the game was progressing and what they were planning on doing. Now, the interesting thing about it was, well, there were multiple interesting things, but one of the things that I did pick up, one of the themes was they weren't happy with the current state of raiding, as in the pace at which people were getting through. And as we saw, raiding took a pretty heavy nerf. Exceedingly heavy nerf. Specifically, Tigol says, 2.1.0 will go live, and I think there are many significant changes to help with raid progression issues. If raid progression is still a problem after 2.0, we will make further changes. We want people doing the content. We want the encounters to be beat. He also says, I'd rather have fun beating encounters than a raid game full of mysteries that no one is going to see. Plus all your epics are getting buffed. Yeah. So, Blizzard not happy with raid progression. So what did they do? Heavy nerfs on all fronts, it has to be said. Pretty serious nerfs, and at least some bug fixing as well, thank the Lord. As we saw, Lady Vash killed on patch day by multiple guilds. Before that, of course, only 2 guilds had killed them, and that was Method and Nihilum. Now that was interesting to see. The question is just how acceptable is that? How far is too far? It's a very tricky topic. Why is it a tricky topic? Because, well, everyone has their own opinion on the matter. I'm going to try and cover as many as I possibly can. If you have any of your own, email themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com with your opinions on this. Raid pacing. Too difficult? Not too difficult? Too easy? What's going on with it? So, here we go. It's pretty much accepted that raiding has, difficulty-wise, been nerfed. Pretty much every encounter has been fixed if it required to be fixed. And I say fixed in inverted commas. Terrestrial Nilhoof, nerfed. Shade of Iran, nerfed. What else has been nerfed? Pretty much everything in Serpentrine. Vash has been fixed, quote-unquote. Kael'thas, fixed/nerfed. Variety of other things, fixed/nerfed, whatever you'd like to call them. Well, let's take the example of Vash, shall we? Vash, major rooster block. Why is it a rooster block? Well, because no one can kill her. Or at least, that was the case beforehand. Only 2 guilds managed to kill Vash, and the first time for both of them, it bugged out. Nihilum suffered, I say suffered in inverted commas, a 10% drop in HP, as well as an instant respawn, straight after the kill. Method didn't have the Spore Bats despawn, they also had the interesting Fear Ward bug, where Fear Ward would not disappear with a pulse from the Strider mobs, who tend to pulse fear every few seconds. So they went back in and killed her multiple times again and again and again, so I suppose they have world 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They killed her 4 times, I believe. So, only 2 guilds able to kill that encounter. Now, how many perspectives can you have on that fact? Let's take the hardcore endgame bleeding edge raider perspective. It is possible that some people, and I do have a little bit of this in me despite the fact that I'm not even at that content yet, that raid content is supposed to be hard, and you're supposed to crack away at it for months and months and months and months until you actually bring it down. When we were doing Cthulhu, and this was a long time ago, when Cthulhu was... Well, Cthulhu is still considered very, very challenging indeed. But it was relatively soon after the Cthulhu fix and the kill. We were attempting Cthulhu, and we attempted Cthulhu for around 2 months. Cthulhu is a nightmare of an encounter. Anyone that has done it can attest to it. It's an incredibly fun encounter, I might add, as well. It's very unique, but it requires everyone in the raid to be on the ball. And there is a certain degree of luck involved, although not very much at all. So, from that perspective, and those 2 months, I did not feel those 2 months were wasted. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, those 2 months, aside from my first foray into Molten Core with my first guild, were probably the best 2 months of raiding I've ever had. And you might say, well, all you've been doing is wiping on the same boss for 2 months. True, but I like a challenge. So, the fact that Cthulhu was difficult, and the fact that the majority of the guilds could not kill Cthulhu, was, in my opinion, a very good thing. I'd apply the same to Vash, if Vash wasn't horribly bugged and just plain hard. But no, Vash has now been nerfed. We know this. So, what else have we got? Kael'thas. Kael'thas was killed day after... Was it day after? Pretty damn soon after the patch, let me put it that way. A couple of days. Nihilum killed Kael'thas. Forte killed Kael'thas 2 hours later. So, was that encounter fixed or was it nerfed? Well, I heard a lot of bugs, to be honest, and I heard about the difficulty of the encounter. And from what I've heard, the encounter is now pretty much just about right. Nice and challenging, pretty difficult to do, but not bugged to all hell. And of course, if anyone would like to prove me wrong, then feel free to email themurloc@gmail.com. Anyway, so, what's after that? Hayal. Mount Hayal. Now available for anyone that has killed Vash and Kael'thas. And of course, you get all your attunement stuff. And you go into Hayal, and to get the Black Temple attunement, you have to kill Rage Winterchill. That also bugged out, I might add, not spawning 25 attunement items for Nihilum. Only spawned 1, and Tiggle had to come along and fix it, so good game for tested content. I find that quite hilarious, to be quite honest. Considering the fact that Rage Winterchill was killed multiple times by different guilds in the PTR, and yet for some reason that bug didn't translate, or did translate. Very odd. But anyway, that's not the point. So, Nihilum then went and knocked over, I believe, 4 bosses in Black Temple. Check out worldofraids.com for screenshots, or MMO Champion. Both have screenshots, and of course nihilum.eu. Many bosses left side killed in Black Temple, and some of them had not been killed on the PTR at all. That's a lot of bosses. That is an awful lot of bosses for 1 day's worth of raiding. And that kind of scares me to some degree. Because the Bleeding Edge guy, who says, I want to see all this content take months and months to beat, I want it to be challenging enough, that part of me says, oh good lord in heaven. How long is it going to be before they kill Illidan? Unless stuff up to there is rooster blocked, in the case that it's either incredibly difficult, I hope it is, I really do. And I would imagine that guilds actually taking on Black Temple content would hope for the same, because if they're there, then I would hope they're there for the challenge and the progression. And that progression should take some time, the challenge should be there. Very, very present and very daunting. Always a good thing in my honest opinion. However, this is not the only opinion there is. Let's go for more casual perspective, someone who's not quite as far advanced on. Should they be able to see all this cool content? I think undeniably yes, they should. If their guild is good enough to get them there. But the question is, of course, just how far should that go? Should the majority be able to see Lady Vash, Kael'thas, Illidan? 3 very lore-heavy encounters. Anyone that's played Warcraft 3 will have, of course, seen all 3 of those characters. The cool factor is definitely there. When I first started playing WoW, I did look forward to seeing familiar Warcraft locales, despite the fact that you really don't see an awful lot of them in the Warcraft games, and they look very, very different. But the themes are still there. You can still recognise it. Say Orc Watchtowers, for instance. Being able to actually run up an Orc Watchtower. Oh, look at the scale of this. It's in fact the only reason why I thought the Command & Conquer Renegade was cool. Yes, I attest to thinking that it had a marginal degree of cool in it. Why? Just have a look at it. You get to see all of this stuff on a grander scale, from a different perspective. You've been playing an RTS, now you're playing an FPS. Oh look, that obelisk of light is a lot bigger when you stare at it. Oh dear, I'm dead. So yeah, that's got a certain cool factor to it, and I think that translated into WoW, and I also believe that it is one of the reasons why some people went and played WoW. It is one of the primary reasons why I played WoW, because I was big into Warcraft. So, natural progression onto WoW. I get to see all my local stuff, and all of this stuff that has been in the previous games. I may not even be a lorehound, but it's still cool to see this kind of thing. And I think everyone can, at least if they've played Warcraft 3 and Frozen Throne, attest that they would like to at least see Illidan. They'd like to see Lady Vash. They'd like to see Kael'thas. Major characters, major players in the Warcraft series. And that's quite important. Now let's look at it from a customer perspective. We are, of course, customers to this game as well as players. Blizzard needs to maintain their customer base. And as I'll go on to later on in the show, this patch could very much be make or break. It could be what breaks WoW, or what really rejuvenates it, because I've not been too impressed by the last few patches, really. It's taken them a long time to fix some of the raiding issues. The content has been lackluster, to say the least. We've got very, very little out of it. But all this new stuff in 2.1.0, all this new stuff, and there is a lot of it, could be a thing which brings life back into World of Warcraft. We'll see. We'll see. Now, from a Blizzard perspective, they will see raiding as a very nice profit maker. Why is it a profit maker, you ask? Well, endgame is what you'd expect. The name is right there, endgame. The game doesn't end. This is what you do when you've reached level 70, and you do it for a long time. Hardcore guilds will continue to play. Casual guilds will continue to play. Everything in the middle, to the left, the right, and all about will continue to play if there is something ahead of them that they will enjoy doing. I've always felt that's very important. There has to be something ahead of you, because if there's nothing ahead of you, all you're doing is standing still. And if you stand still, you tend to get bored. If you get bored, you stop subscribing. Bad thing, certainly from a business perspective, that's for sure. I don't think anyone would even try to argue otherwise. So it's very important to look at it from that perspective as well. By making raiding more accessible, by making raiding easier, you can potentially keep more of your customers happy. It's difficult to cater to all of these areas simultaneously. The way that I've always felt it should be is to use the Naxxramas principle. Now, the way legacy raiding used to be is that pretty much any guild and their mother, given enough time, can go and down nerf. Yeah? Didn't used to be that way, but, you know, Blackwing Lair became pretty much farmable, Molten Core became a joke, Zul'Gurub, Anchorage 20, all that stuff's there. And progressing into Anchorage 40 was a real challenge for less competent's an unfair word, less experienced, less proficient guilds. That was a real challenge. And this was pre-TBC, let's call it, 3, 4, 5 months before TBC came out. And Naxxramas, if anything, was something that guilds could only wander a couple of bosses into before hitting a wall of complete and total difficulty. There is no gentle learning curve in Naxx. Naxx was like, whee, straight in the air. Either you jump very, very high indeed, or you fall flat on your face and look very silly in the process. Yeah, you can kill a Nubcake. Good game, so can everyone else. Vesuvius. Joking counter. Now try killing anything else. Okay, maybe you can down Fairlina. Good, now try Maexner. Good luck with that. Try Hagen. Try all of these. Try Patchwork. See what happens. I always felt that Naxxramas was very much a pro area. It was the area that all the really proficient guilds went into, and they made their progress in there. And there was still stuff for people to do in other instances, and that was good. Now, what I was hoping was going to happen is that this is the situation that they're trying to build up to now. Let's have a look at our instances. Karazhan. They're trying, from what I could see, to make it the Zul'Gurub, the Anchorage 20. It's a small form instance, not a nice loot, too much bloody trash, difficulty level now not so high. Certainly something to cut your teeth on. Grohl's Lair? Yeah. Serpent Shrine. Let's call them the Molten Core. Let's call them the Blackwing Lair. And then, of course, you're looking at Tempest Keep as your AQ40, and hopefully Black Temple as your Naxxramas. Although people are saying right now that it's more like a Blackwing Lair rather than a Naxxramas. We'll have to see. Now, my concern, of course, is the speed of progression through Black Temple at this point in time. If it is not as challenging as Naxx, although I've been told the encounters are extremely fun and well designed, then you're going to have people burning through it very, very fast, and there your subscriber base, well, the bottom falls out of it right there. Because even if you're not doing that content, you can still get demoralised by seeing people thrash through it too easily. Because you think, well, actually, there's not that much up ahead of me. There's not as much there as I thought. It's not as substantial. It's a very tricky situation. I think Blizzard is very much in a catch-22. Do I believe they've done the right thing, even if there is a right thing to do in this situation? We're just going to have to see how it pans out. I am looking forward to being able to progress, but I am very, very trepidatious. Kind of scared the Black Temple might end up being a little bit too easy at the end of it, and the Hardcore Guild's going to blast through it. Now here's a bit of Nubcake news. Enjoy. Nubcake news! Stop that. Welcome to this week's edition of Nubcake News. Coming up later in the program, soccer moms riot over the introduction of the one-eyed Willy pet. In response, Blizzard rolls out sex ed classes. But first, the skies of the Outlands are becoming somewhat full of late with the introduction of new flying mounts. Players have been concerned about the potential safety implications of these new flapping fiends, and Nubcake News is already receiving reports of nose-diving Tauren on comically small netherrain mounts. The Azerothian Safety Society, aka ASS, has issued the following safety guidelines. Firstly, no big fat cows on netherrains. It looks damn silly. Secondly, ensure to fasten your goblin safety belt. What? You didn't buy one? Wonderful contraptions they are. Only a small chance of spontaneous combustion. Wonderful really, yes. And remember, dismounting mid-flight may be faster than landing, but you may land on a helpless gnome in the process. Actually, scratch that. That's a great idea. Okay, lads, there's one. Flatten him. Some people, however, are not so pleased with these new mounts and claim not to have the time or inclination to farm the required reputation to access them. Fortunately, Loltastic Industries is on hand with a brand new dealership of completely authentic, custom model flying mounts. We sent a reporter to their newest dealership to speak to a salesman. Welcome to Loltastic Industries Flying Mount Emporium. We have the very latest models of flying mounts, no upgrades, no fuss, no hassle, and full financing available. So, what exactly makes your flying mount so special? As I said before, we have the latest models. We realise that since you have to ride something completely silly like a netherray, well, why stop there? Let me show you one of our exotic models. Behold, the Core Master 9000. Isn't that an ancient core hound? With wings! With wings? Yeah, you can't expect an ancient core hound to fly without wings. They're nowhere near aerodynamic enough. For I suppose they could bounce a bit. Bouncy, but fly? No. Wings are required. Well, okay, that's understandable, I suppose, but what about the tendency to eat anyone that comes within 50 yards of it? I see, that's why we're giving them blinkers. Yeah, blinkers. What you see, what you can't see, they can't eat, right? Yeah, right? Right, yes. Well, why don't we try something a little more traditional? Well, they're safety conscious, you can try this, the Goblin Flight Extraordinaire. Hang on a minute, isn't that the rocket from Area 52? Sure, it might look like we've merely stolen an incomplete and completely dangerous like vehicle, but in this case I think our customers will appreciate, they'll appreciate the differences. Such as what exactly? Oh, full leather interior, cup holder and custom subwoofer. But it doesn't have any engines. Engine of all that. Completely old hat. Is it new Goblin technology, you know? Well, I can see you're a military man. You'd appreciate some firepower, yeah? Bit of firepower? Yeah, wanna try this little beauty? That looks like a null. No, not just any null. This is the F-23 Hogger with custom laser emitter. The laser. He appears to be charging it. Charging it, you say? No, not at all. It's a fog light. Yes, it's a fog light. No, seriously, I think he's charging the laser. We are pleased to report that we received our reporter back in several pieces. He was stitched back together by our surgeons and reported that his unexpected free flight was quick, economical, but the movie sucked. This has been Nubcake News. Good night.